Hey guys, quick Star Trek Online news video for you today. A patch went live today on PC, and that's going to be today on October 1st. And there were various bug fixes that went out, like the Odyssey Tactical Vest for male characters was updated to include the Odyssey comm badges, which was accidentally left out in the original release. That's been bugging me for a little bit, so I'm really glad to see that fixed. They reduced the collision capsule on the Breen Yod Thought Dreadnought from being too big for the ship, which is pretty impressive because it's already a really big ship. So the fact that it was even the collision capsule was too big really says something a lot about that ship. So if you do have the Breen Yod Thought Dreadnought, hopefully you'll be running into walls a little bit less now. Various other general fixes went out, as well as some other various fixes for the new episode Best Laid Plans and the new TFO Shattered Peace. We're not going to get too much into those. You can go read the patch notes for yourself. The big thing we're going to be talking about today is this: the shared cooldown between multiple copies of Beam Fire Will abilities has been reduced from 20 seconds to 15 seconds. So what this means is that Beam Fire Will's minimal cooldown has been brought back down to the original 15 seconds that it was when it was originally released, just like every other firing mode is in Star Trek Online. So this means Beam Fire Will is, in terms of minimal cooldowns, on equal footing to all the other firing modes, like Beam Overload or Cannon Scatter Volley or Cannon Rapid Fire. Honestly, this is a huge thing for Beam Fire Will. You guys know I am a huge advocate for Fire at Will. It is my favorite firing mode. It is my favorite way to play in Star Trek Online. So seeing this happen after so long, I really love this. Like, to whoever decided to make this change, thank you so much for this, because this is kind of huge in my opinion. They actually did the same thing for the Beam subsystem targeting abilities, which are also technically firing modes. They will share cooldowns. They will trigger shared cooldowns with your other firing mode abilities. So those will also be reduced down to 15 seconds like normal firing modes. These aren't normally considered like actual firing modes because they're like one-shot abilities, and all they do is target a subsystem and have a chance to disable it. Really, most of these abilities are used for triggering certain effects like competitive engines or various starship traits. So these aren't as commonly used as like actual firing modes, but the fact that they're reducing their cooldown to 15 seconds to put them on more even footing with all the other firing modes, again, still a very good thing to see. So what does this mean for Fire at Will? For one, it's going to make entwined tactical matrices a bit easier to use. You're going to be a little less strained in lining up your shots between Fire at Will and torpedo spread. So you're going to have a little bit of an easier time maintaining Fire at Will for maximum uptime with entwined tactical matrices with this reduced cooldown. The bigger news, though, is that with this reduced cooldown, that means redirecting arrays is finally a viable method for extending the duration of Fire at Will. Because redirecting arrays flaw has always been that it maxes out at a total of 15 seconds. But now that the minimal cooldown for Fire at Will is also 15 seconds, Fire at Will, as long as you can maintain getting shot at the entire time, redirecting arrays can maintain Fire at Will for basically 100% uptime. Again, it just requires you receiving damage all the time. So it's not going to be ideal for every situation, especially if you're in a ship that isn't going to be generating a lot of threat, or if you're going to be in a team situation where the other players are going to be generating more threat than you are. It's not going to be ideal there, but this is going to be useful for threat-based tank builds or mixed tank DPS builds that generate a lot of threat, which is already good because Fire at Will already generates a lot of threat on its own, so this will still be useful in a lot of cases. Another thing to note here is that with redirecting arrays, a Maelstrom torpedo is also a viable option with this extension trait, because with entwined tactical matrices, you still have to swap between torpedo spread and Fire at Will. It's just going to be a little bit easier with the timing, but you do still need to swap between the two. So a Maelstrom torpedo is still not going to be an ideal option there, because the cooldown for a Maelstrom torpedo is just too long to maintain the back and forth that ETM requires. But redirecting arrays works completely differently. It requires you getting shot at. There's no back and forth between your beam and your torpedo firing modes. So if you wanted to use a Maelstrom torpedo with a Fire at Will build that uses redirecting arrays, you could do that. So ultimately, this now means that we have two viable extender traits for Fire at Will in the C-Store. Entwined tactical matrices, which, nothing's really changed there. It's just going to be a little bit easier to use. And now redirecting arrays, which is going to be pretty useful for threat-based tank builds that rely on getting shot at all the time. So if you maintain that, this is a viable option to use now. I really wish they had made this change before I made that video on explaining the various extender traits for the different firing modes, because I really tore redirecting arrays apart in that video. I did put an update in the pinned comment of that video, though. So I think the question right now is what's going to happen to Breen's Free Fire? Because Breen's Free Fire extends the duration of Fire at Will by 9 seconds, and with the minimal cooldown of Fire at Will being only 15 seconds, 9 seconds is overkill now at this point. Really, there are two options to do with this thing. They can either leave it as it is and just leave it as being kind of overkill to extend Fire at Will, because one, this it doesn't really hurt anything. It just means that your Fire at Will definitely be off cooldown by the time your current Fire at Will has expired, so you'll be able to reactivate that right away. Also, by leaving it at 9 seconds could also mean that players who aren't using proper Bridge Officer cooldown methods, like the Boimler effect or Ox to Bat or Photonic Officer, stuff like that, people who aren't using that kind of stuff, this could serve as like a buffer for that, because you will just be extending Fire at Will that much longer, so it'll extend further into that normal non-reduced cooldown. The other option would be to reduce Breen's Free Fire extension down to something like 5 seconds, make it equivalent to Super Weapon Ingenuity, which is the extender trait for Beam Overload. The reason reducing it could potentially be better for some players is that you can't activate your firing mode while it's still currently active. So by extending Fire at Will by 9 seconds means you're not going to be able to reactivate Fire at Will until the first one is completely done, which means that this could potentially hurt your timing with your competitive engines. There are a number of players who do rely on that speed buff in order to get from A to B, and the only way to do that is by activating a firing mode ability. And that could be potentially even more of a problem if you're using a Maelstrom torpedo, because in that case you could potentially be saving your torpedo spread for when your Maelstrom gets back up to full charge, meaning you probably don't want to be activating torpedo spread until then. There are pros and cons to each solution, and honestly, I'm kind of torn on it, because one, having it be overkill with leaving it as just plus 9 seconds does have its appeal, because it's that much more of a guarantee that Fire at Will definitely be off cooldown by the time it's expired, so you can just activate it again right away. And yeah, there's the argument for it'll help out players not using proper cooldown methods to further maintain Fire at Will, but at the same time, this trait is off of a promo ship, so you got to keep in mind most players who are going after promo ships probably have a decent amount of experience in the game already, and probably already have the cooldown management issue solved for their build. So that's probably not going to be an issue for someone going after a promo ship. So that might not need to be a thing to worry about for a trait available off of this kind of ship. Players going after promo ships tend to be a bit more experienced and put more time into this game, and those might be the type of people who are going to want to get more use out of their competitive engines. Or they may have other traits that rely on the activation of Fire at Will, so not being able to activate it as quickly or as often might hurt their build in other ways. Thinking on it as I'm recording this, I'm kind of leaning more in the direction of reducing Breen's Free Fire down to 5 seconds or something like that, just because I feel like it has more pros than leaving it as it is does. There's also an argument for balance here, because with this reduced cooldown for Fire at Will, it now means that Breen's Free Fire is the only extender starship trait that actually extends its firing mode beyond the firing mode's minimal cooldown. One of the reasons that players really wanted to have Fire at Will's minimal cooldown reduced down to 15 seconds is because leaving it at 20 seconds always felt like an unfair imbalance for Fire at Will, giving Fire at Will an unfair disadvantage compared to all of the other major firing modes. Beam Overloads, Cannon Scatter Volley, Cannon Rapid Fire, all of which have minimal cooldowns of 15 seconds already, which created an imbalance in the form of an unfair disadvantage to Fire at Will. But now that Fire at Will's minimal cooldown is equal to the rest of them, this means that Breen's Free Fire is the only extender starship trait that extends the active time for a firing mode ability beyond its minimal cooldown, creating a different type of imbalance. Whether that imbalance is good or bad, it's tough to say at this point, but it's an imbalance nonetheless, and that could be a problem in the future and just could be considered annoying, I guess. I don't know. The imbalance is there to begin with, which means it probably shouldn't be there at all. So I feel like just on that merit alone, this should be brought back down to 5 seconds. That's just my thinking on it. I'm sure Deca will be eager to hear discussions and feedback on this issue. So if you have opinions on it, go post it in the Star Trek Online official Discord channel. I mean, you could post them in the comments of this video as well. The engagement is always good for the algorithm, but I doubt the devs are reading my video comments. Or do they? I actually don't know. Mordicus, are you there? Knock twice if you are. So yeah, that's everything happening on PC right now. Console, I don't know when you guys are going to be getting this update, given that a lot of this stuff had to deal with issues that were with the new episode and the new TFO. I imagine you guys will probably be getting all of this, all these fixes along with the episode going live over there on console, because that's just how PC is. We're basically your guys' test server. So you guys can probably expect this change to Fire at Will around the middle of November. Actually, speaking of console, we do have a little bit of console news because the Voth Invictus event starts tomorrow for you guys. So this is the Voth event where you will be taking part in either Storming the Spire, the Breach, or you can take part in the Voth Battle Zone. Complete that. Take part in those every day for the next 14 days, and you will earn the Voth Stronghold Miracle Worker Dreadnought Cruiser. Decent ship, not the most amazing thing in the game, but it is a solid free ship. So if you're wanting to have another ship for your fleet, this is definitely something that's going to be worth picking up. And another nice thing to note is that this is only going to be one of their 14-day events. So this is actually going to be a pretty quick thing to earn, for a free ship. That's a really nice thing to see. And if you're not wanting to participate in the event, buying it out really isn't that bad of an idea, because since it's a 14-day event, the buyout is only 2,500 Zen, meaning that you could buy this out and it would still cost less than a normal tier 6 ship in the C-store, which typically costs 3,000 Zen, assuming there isn't a sale. So yeah, buy it or earn it for free. Either way, it's a decent ship, so pick it up. Oh, and today the Trafalgar goes live on Xbox and PlayStation. So if you have a spare Infinity lockbox lying around, or if you're feeling lucky with the lockboxes, feel free to go after this ship too. Decent stats on it. It's really pretty though. I am still not over how pretty the Trafalgar is. It's such a cool looking ship. It's got decent stats on it. I still haven't updated the console on that though, because I know they've been wanting to make that they were wanting to make that console something equivalent to the DPRM, and it's really kind of fallen short there. I know they're still in talks of updating that, but it's been kind of a back end thing lately, just because they've been so focused on getting the new episode out. But now that the new episode is out, hopefully they'll have some time to take a look and review the console off of the Trafalgar here. So maybe they'll get updated somewhat soon-ish. But again, I'm sure there's no promises there. But console or no, the ship itself is really nice and it's really pretty. I can't stop stressing that enough. I am kind of obsessed with the look of this ship. So yeah, if you're into it, console players, it is available in the Infinity lockboxes for you today. And of course, if you don't want to engage with the gamble content, this will be available in next year's event campaign. So yeah, I think that covers just about everything. A decent patch came out for PC today, which included reducing Fire at Will's minimal cooldown back down to its original 15 seconds, which is, again, a huge thing for Fire at Will. I'm very pleased to see that and look forward to messing around with that more. And for console players, the Trafalgar went live today, and the event that rewards the Voth Stronghold Dreadnought will be going live for you guys tomorrow. Oh, and in case anyone missed it, because we didn't know when we were allowed to announce it, so the announcement was kind of last minute. But yesterday, I was on an official live stream with Star Trek Online on the Deca Lives channel, along with Endeavor Gaming, Vengeance God, aka Ambassador Kale, and Becky Midnight. We were brought on with Pundus and Ambassador Suna to play through the new episode of the new TFO. So if you guys want to check out that live stream, I will also link the VOD to that down below in the pinned comment. Okay, I think that wraps up everything now. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. If you'd like to further support the channel, check out the affiliate links down below in the pinned comment. Check out the merch store. If you're ever shopping on the Epic Game Store, be sure to use my content creator code STU1701. Any of these really help me out, and I really do appreciate it. Either way, though, thank you so much for watching. My name's Stu, and I will see you guys next time.